You're invited to the legal puppet party. Come on in and you will sure become a smarty. We will teach you about the rules. So when you're lawyers, you won't be fools. Take a seat because the show will soon be starting at the legal puppet party.
This episode of the Legal Puppet Party is brought to you by Model Rule 4.1,
Model Rule 4.2, Model Rule 4.3,
Model Rule 4.4,
Model Rule 3.4F,
Model Rule 8.4,
with special appearances by
Comment 7 of 4.2, and In-Ray Air Crash Disaster near Rose Lawn.
Ted slipped and hurt his hip while shopping at the store. The grape in the aisle fell out of its pile and landed on the floor. Ted was mad and got real sad, so he hired attorney Sue. Sue called Justin, Loretta, Harold, and Anne to conduct an interview. Justin is a college kid who only works part-time. Loretta is a produce manager just trying to make a dime. Then there is Harold, a former VP who quit a month ago. Last there is Anne, who was shopping for tomatoes. Lester, attorney for the store, didn't know about Sue's call. Whether Sue is right or wrong is a question for you all. We join the story when Sarah Beth, Amy, and Jenny are deciding which of the 4 witnesses Sue contacted were improper. Michael and Julianne are representing attorney Sue Thatcher. Puppet Pointer! Rule 3.4F says that this anti-sequestration provision reflects the view that the truth-seeking process is usually enhanced when all attorneys have access to all witnesses.
What do you guys think about Anne?
Anne makes a bad case because Sue could talk to Anne all she wants.
Well, why?
Because, Jenny, none of the rules prohibit Sue from talking to Anne.
Oh.
We think Justin, Harold, and Loretta make the best case for disciplinary action.
Because they are all either current or former employees of the store.
Puppet Pointer! Rule 4.3 says that the lawyer shall not give legal advice to an unrepresented person other than the advice to secure counsel. If the lawyer knows or reasonably should know that the interests of such a person are or have a reasonable possibility of being in conflict with the interest of the client. Alright kids, now let's talk about the first issue. The first issue is whether Sue's behavior violated Rule 4.2 of the Model Rules of Professional Conduct.
Point! Rule 4.2, communication with persons represented by counsel, says, in representing a client, a lawyer shall not communicate about the subject of the representation with a person the lawyer knows to be represented by another lawyer in the matter, unless the lawyer has the consent of the other lawyer or is authorized to do so by law or a court order.
Cool! Under Model Rule 4.2, Comment 7, Sue's communication with Justin is prohibited because Justin is an employee of the store, which is represented by a lawyer. Justin is also represented by that very lawyer.
Sue's communication with Harold is also prohibited because Harold was a former employee, but he was a vice president. Therefore, according to Comment 7, he would have had direct communication with the lawyer representing the store.
Sue's communication with Loretta is also prohibited because Loretta is produce department manager. She has the authority to obligate the organization.
Now let's see what the other side has to say about Rule 4.2.
Counterpoint!
Rule 4.2 does not apply because Justin only works part-time. He has no authority, and he does not have regular contact with the store's lawyers. Rule 4.2 does not apply to Harold because he doesn't work at the store and has no authority to bind the store with his statements. Also, there is no way that Harold's acts could create civil or criminal liability for the store.
Rule 4.2 should not apply to Loretta because she is only a produce department manager and does not have contact with the store's lawyers very often.
But Julianne, couldn't the lawyer just hire a third person to talk to the witnesses?
No, Michael. Under Rule 5.3, the lawyer is responsible for the conduct of third persons if the lawyer orders or has knowledge about the conduct. So, the lawyer can still be in trouble, even if a third person did the interview. Pocket pointer! Rule 4.4a says that in representing a client, a lawyer shall not use means that have no substantial purpose other than to embarrass, delay, or burden a third person, or use methods of obtaining evidence that violate the legal rights of such a person. In other words, be nice to others, kids!
Alright, kids, the next issue is, wait a minute, I'm feeling tired. Don't you think we could use a break right now? Why, I suppose we could. And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi, I was just reading the rules here with my friends. Model Rule 4.2, communication with person represented by counsel. In representing a client, a lawyer shall not communicate about the subject of the representation with a person the lawyer knows to be represented by another lawyer in the matter. And remember, kids, sexual relations with your client is prohibited unless the relationship existed prior to representation.
Alright, kids, now let's talk about the second issue. The second issue is whether the holding in Ray air crash disaster near Roselawn applies to the situation with Sue Thatcher.
Point. In Ray air crash disaster near Roselawn, it is improper to talk to employees of a corporation
Unless the employer's lawyer is present. In the case NRA air crash disaster near Roselawn, an employee's statements can bind the corporation.
This language applies to Justin because Justin is also an employee of the store.
This language also applies to Loretta because she is also an employee.
And this also applies to Harold because he was an employee of the store.
Alright, kids, now let's see what the other side has to say about Ray air crash disaster near Roselawn.
Counterpoint.
Yeah, but Justin, Loretta, and Harold couldn't find the store because the ABA deleted the comment language that the court used in air crash.
Therefore, the group that can bind the store is smaller, and Justin, Loretta, and Harold wouldn't fall into that group.
But wait, couldn't Lester just tell the people not to talk to Sue?
Well, Jenny, under Model Rule 3.4F, an attorney can't ask a witness not to talk to Sue. What do you think, Sarah Beth?
Well, Amy, as far as I know, the only way you can prohibit a witness from talking to Sue would be if the witness is Sue's client, relative, employee, or agent.
Pocket pointer! Rule 4.1a says that in the course of representing a client, a lawyer shall not knowingly make a false statement of material fact or law to a third person. In other words, don't lie, kids!
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Rule 8.4 Misconduct. It is professional misconduct for a lawyer to A. Violate or attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct. Oh, I didn't see you there. I hope you're enjoying the Legal Puppet Party brought to you by the Model Rules. And remember, kids, never take money from the trust account.
Now let's talk about the final issue. The final issue is whether Sue's conduct constitutes misconduct under Model Rule 8.4.
Point!
Model Rule 8.4 Misconduct. It is professional misconduct for a lawyer to A. Violate or attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct. Sue, talking to the witnesses constitutes misconduct under Model Rule 8.4.
Therefore, she should be disciplined.
According to the language of the air crash case, Sue should have followed the more restrictive interpretation of the rule.
She should have also contacted opposing counsel, Jenny.
And she should have sought guidance from the court.
Now let's see what the other side has to say about misconduct.
Counterpoint!
Yeah, that's all great in a perfect world, but we live in the puppet world.
Yeah, no one has time to contact opposing counsel of an unrepresented person or to go to court for advice.
The bottom line is, our client didn't violate the rules. She was just zealously representing her client.
Okay, kids, it's time to decide!
Wait a minute, that's my job. What are you doing, Mr. Tiger?
Well, I didn't get to do anything. All I gotta do was sing a song. I'm so tired of this, I'm leaving.
Now, kids, it's time to decide. Vote red if you think that Sue should be punished. Vote green if you think that Sue did the right thing.
Thanks for coming to the Legal Puppet Party. We hope your brains are just a bit more full and hearty. We learned a lot today, and now we send you on your way. Come on back to play at the Legal Puppet Party. I feel like the tiger grew up on the streets of the Bronx.
He looks like it.
He
I
did.
feel like he's hard and he's just like, in-ray air crash disaster, Rose Lawn. I went to PS 118. I grew up on the streets. I'm a street tiger.